Welcome to A Moment with Isaac. I'm Issac Bradfield, and today with me
is Abra Bradfield.
I've studied tarot quite a bit, Kabbalah, tea leaf readings, gemstone readings, and Abra here, what have you studied?
I've studied tarot, palmistry, and mostly herbs.
Okay. Today we're taking a look at next week. The week of August 15th brings us something interesting. The 16th, which is Monday, we have an astrological situation that we need to discuss. We have Jupiter, planet Jupiter, opposite planet Saturn. Jupiter's residing in the sign of Aries. Saturn is in the sign of Libra. Very strong elements. One of expansion, Jupiter, and one of contraction, Saturn. Now, as a palmist, how do you view Jupiter and Saturn on the hand?
When I do, Jupiter would be the index finger, and Saturn would be the middle finger. And Jupiter in palmistry usually has dealings with your aspirations in life, jobs, financial gains, careers, things of that nature. And I usually view the Saturn finger as more of as a karma, things that you're working out in this life, things that you're supposed to be doing, and kind of guidelines to keep you on the right track.
In terms of what's going on this next week with them in opposition, these contradictory forces, how do you relate that on a palmistry level?
Well, first of all, it's not going to be very fun because you're going in opposite directions. One thing that I look for in the palm is this line right here. This is your heart line, and it's the one that's up above your headline. And a lot of people, it will end up here in, this line will come and end up here in Jupiter, which means that they would be more focused on their career, more material things, just living, within the earth and trying to survive. If it was coming further up here into the Saturn finger, again the karma, that would be that they are actively working on a lot of their karmic and spiritual issues, and that's what they're being guided to do. But from what I have seen, most people actually are trying to do both at the same time. There's usually a line here that will split off, but one is a whole lot fainter than the other one.
Okay.
So the deeper one would be the more pronounced, where they're giving their most energy.
And your left hand is what you're born with?
The left hand is pretty much what you're born with, and some of the things that you are attempting to achieve in this lifetime.
And your right hand is showing
what you're doing.
What you're doing right now.
What you're doing right now.
Okay. Well,
and it's changeable.
Well, that's an interesting point. You can change it.
You can change it. Nothing's carved in stone, not even lines in your hand. They do change.
Yeah. Interesting, in tarot, there's an attribution of the major cards as well as the minors to planets, signs, and planetary situations. Jupiter is usually associated with the Wheel of Fortune. This is the Rider-Waite deck that we have here. We have a spiral wheel here with the four fixed signs with wings on them. And we have Anubis here on the side, T-A-R-O. Basically some alchemical symbols there as well. It's usually considered a card of change for the better, things in motion, evolution, going towards a higher state of evolution.
Like the change of the seasons.
Yeah, and it's also been associated, Kabbalistically with the hand. Also, you think of the hand when you make a fist, you make a spiral with your hand itself, and that's part of the spiral nature. Some of the other major cards and other decks show more spiral-oriented type Wheel of Fortunes. But the whole idea of a wheel is in motion. It's moving. Astrologically, Jupiter's always been associated with that expansion, things getting bigger, usually better. It's definitely
until it gets too big.
Until it gets too big. It's definitely an increase.
Okay.
Saturn is usually associated with the World card. Now, Saturn astrologically is usually really, really harsh, taskmaster. It is pushing you to learn. Learn through pushing, through trial and error, through falling down, skinning your knees. It sets the limitations and rules both on a planetary form, what's gravity, how water runs, how the air works.
And persistence.
Persistence. It's the stability in the most concrete form. In terms of plant life and animal life, you know, it's the seasonal aspect of things happening in their proper time and space.
Okay.
It is of time, and working with time brings us to some very interesting things in dealing with how things happen in the past affecting the future. But also it's the whole idea of crystallization. And crystallization gives us our gemstones, as well as how we work with things within us. Gemstones, the Saturn, usually associated with things that are black, dark black. Coal, obsidians, but that's glass forms. Your onyxes, jet definitely is one of them. Some of your slates get into that whole thing there with things that are very, very black, but also really, really alchemically oriented. This is the card for diamond as well. Now this is the card for the world, Saturn, and it's a card for diamond. Why is that? You're dealing with carbon. We are carbon-based life forms.
Living in Carbon County.
Living in Carbon County right now. Interesting. Diamonds are made of carbon. They've just been under extreme heat and pressure and have orientated themselves a little bit differently. And when faceted correctly, they have the utmost brilliance, which gives us the whole Kabbalistic idea from above to below, and from below to above, we're reflections of one another. So diamonds are Keter as well as Malkuth, as well as Saturn itself.
As above, so below.
So when you're wearing a diamond, it's that crystallization of the very highest form of spiritual energy that's available to you.
And human essence.
And human essence at the same time.
Particle
That is part of us now. Astrologically, generally speaking, you know, that Tuesday, this opposition of these two major planets, it's a conflict. Because one wants to expand, and it's in Aries, it's very, very freedom-oriented. It wants to be as much as it can of itself, what it wants to do, to the point of being selfish, impulsive, reckless.
Full of itself.
Full of itself. Saturn loves it in Libra. It feels comfortable there. It takes all that Libran energy of balancing and makes it beautiful. Makes it appropriate. That is the proper lines in space and time that you see in buildings, in drawing, in your music, art. That is the beauty of Saturn, being able to put the proper proportions to make things beautiful. So we have these energies that are back and forth. Now, who will win? Well, we're all feeling it. You know, depending on your particular sign, you're going to feel a little bit differently. But Saturn is actually in a stronger position. But here's the wild card. There's always a wild card. There it is, in fact. It's the Fool. Fool is usually oriented to the planet Uranus. Uranus is also in Aries. It's conjunct enough with Jupiter now that these two guys are double teaming. Kickstart. So because we have that crazy, erratic, inspirational, through lightning bolts, energy coming down, associated with Jupiter across from Saturn here, these guys hold their own against that Saturn energy. So what does it mean? What does it all come down to? You're being conflicted between trying to make relationships and dealing with other people work versus your own impulsive nature to just do what you want to do. How's it going to play out? Depends a lot on you yourself. How do you want to deal with it? You need to express who you are, but you need to have that balance and those partnerships around you. Till next week. Bye.